Pokémon Generation 10 might be a banger. Now, while my previous Pokemon video was fairly negative, the Switch 2 presentation showed us a perfect 60 frames per second version of Pokemon Legends ZA. We are also getting Switch 2 updates to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which hopefully will upgrade that twin pack of games to 60 frames per second as well. All of the negative Nintendo Switch 2 press aside, I was incredibly impressed with the Switch 2 presentation. With Metroid Prime 4 Beyond running at a 4K 60 FPS docked, it sets a good precedent for what's to come for Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch 2. While it is valid to say that Game Freak is ultimately responsible for how the optimization is going to be for their next generation of games on the Switch 2, it's a long sentence, I know. I think that it's going to make a huge difference if Game Freak takes advantage of the amount of horsepower that the Nintendo Switch 2 has. See, regardless of how we feel or how much we glaze the Nintendo Switch, we have to admit, it wasn't really all that powerful. And honestly, with the sports game-like yearly release cycle of the Pokemon Core series games, Game Freak really didn't have a lot of time to optimize. Now, as you can see, they've been taking a lot more time than usual with Legends ZA. This is the very first Pokemon cross-generation title ever. They have never done this before. So even if Legends ZA isn't that great of a game in the end, we can say for certain that it's optimized. I mean, there's video proof. The Nintendo Switch 2 is handling this game a whole lot better than the Nintendo Switch 1. I think it's a really great idea if Game Freak abandons the Nintendo Switch 1 for Generation 10. After Generation 10 releases, I think Game Freak should just slow down. Honestly, we need them to focus. There was a point in time where I thought that Game Freak was going to lock in and just make all the models for all the Pokemon and just release a game with every single Pokemon in it, but that's not the case and it probably will never be. Game Freak has permanently switched their strategy from having the national dex in every game to having a select set of Pokemon for the releases. Some people say this is laziness, some people say this is a strategy, some people say that this is because the games are trying to be more competitive. But now that we have Pokemon Champions, which is supposed to be Pokemon Showdown but official, I'm not too sure what the purpose of not having all of the Pokemon in the main series games is anymore. Outside of Game Freak using the limited decks to make more money on the DLC releases, there's no longer a really good reason for these games to release without the national decks. Dexit aside, I'm actually excited for Pokemon Legends ZA. I think it's awesome that they're bringing Mega Evolutions back, and not only that, but they're adding more to the roster. I think Megas are the best gimmick that Pokemon has ever had, and it would be really cool if Generation 10 had all of the gimmicks in it alongside all of the Pokemon. But this is just a dream. I mean, it's probably not going to happen. Pokemon Champions is the perfect excuse for Game Freak to continue to make new gimmicks and separate and individualize the gimmicks to each of the core series games. This would, of course, allow them to release game after game and then update Pokemon Champions with said gimmicks and said Pokemon. I actually think this is a good idea, and while I do want to have that single-player Pokemon experience where I catch every single Pokemon again, I don't think we're ever going to go back to that. And you know what? That's probably a good thing. If it's taking Game Freak a whole lot of time to put a bunch of Pokemon in each of their core series games and update the models and update the visuals, I completely understand that. If we can get very good Pokemon games with a very select amount of Pokemon, that would be ultimately superior to just having a Pokemon game with all of the Pokemon in it that's not really that good. Of course, we don't really have many examples of them making very good games with a limited amount of Pokemon. And I'm not here to make excuses for why Game Freak hasn't figured it out yet. I understand it's difficult to have 1,000 Pokemon in a core series mainline release. That's just a whole lot of Pokemon to update the models for. I mean, it is a lot. I mean, I can't imagine Game Freak releasing a core series game every 2 years with 1,000 plus Pokemon in it. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. Now, with all of this in mind, I would like to talk about what I want for Generation 10. Now, based on Game Freak's track record, I don't expect them to do most of the things that I'm going to mention here. Regardless, Pokemon has always been an RPG, but it hasn't really ever been that deep. First, the Switch 2 could remove all loading zones, like just no loading, seamless gameplay, seamless open world. I mean, obviously they've went the direction of open world. They might as well just continue it and just make it all seamless. The Switch 2 is far more powerful than the Switch 1. They could probably pull it off. Second, Pokemon could probably be a little more dynamic than they are now. I mean, Pokemon Legends Arceus set the foundation for what Pokemon behavior could be in an open world setting. Generation 10 could have Pokemon sleeping at night, hunting in packs, even fleeing from stronger Pokemon on the field. Third, we could have branching storylines, decisions that affect gym order, rival relationships, or even which legendary Pokemon you encounter. I mean, things could be a lot more elaborate. The Pokemon Core series games have always consisted of the same timeline. You know, you start at your mom's house and then you go through the routes, beat the gym leaders, and beat the Elite Four and beat the champion. Now, they've changed the name and purpose of these things time and time again to try to make it feel like it's new, but it's always the same pattern. It's always the same exact thing. Imagine something as simple as losing to your rival and actually having to deal with the consequences of that. Or even racing your rival to the finish line. I mean, what if you could become the champion before they do? What if they came to fight you? Fourth, what if trainers had skill trees? Maybe even classes? I've always dreamed of Game Freak making an official MMORPG for Pokemon. What if you could be a breeder or an ace trainer? Imagine how cool it would be to just do your own thing and cosplay as one of the NPCs. What if I don't want to be a champion? Has anybody ever thought of that? While that may not work as well in a single player setting, I think simply just having the choice of being whoever you want to be would give the games a lot of replay value. And that leads into my fifth and final want for Pokemon Gen 10. MMO-light features. They have been progressing towards this for quite some time. Sword and Shield had raids, Scarlet and Violet had co-op, and it's only fair for me to assume that the Pokemon Core series games are going that direction. Imagine a co-op setting where you and I are playing the game together and Regigigas just shows up on the field after we've caught all the Regis together. Nah, it's a little wild. I mean, I don't know how that would work out, but imagine having, big bosses show up on the field that you could beat up and catch. That'd be really, really, really cool. And yeah, I know that example's a bit extreme, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. I mean, what if we had guilds? Guilds would be super cool. I mean, what if I could create a clan that other friends of mine could join? I know you could tell I play a lot of RuneScape, but I want these features in the game. I mean, they'd be so cool. Imagine having the global trade system be like the Grand Exchange from RuneScape. A huge area where all of these Pokemon players could come to socialize, battle, and trade. Again, these are my hopes and dreams. Shout out to Undertale. None of it is probably going to happen. I mean, at least give us the Battle Frontier back, guys. Like, can we please have the Battle Frontier back? I think Generation 10 has the potential to be the very best generation yet, but it's up to Game Freak to make that happen. And while the series has been evolving over time, it's been slow at doing so. And I think Pokemon is due for a mega evolution. What would you like to see in Generation 10? Feel free to let us know in the comment section below. And for all things Pokemon, check us out at finalweapon.net or follow us on our Twitter at FNLWPN. And if you've made it this far into the video, you might as well subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.